Hello, this is Daniel, and this is Down to the Wire. So we're going to start this first segment off about who I think who will have the best offensive line in the SEC. I do not think it'll be Georgia because they lost 3 starters: Isaiah Wilson, Andrew Thomas, 2 really nice offensive tackles, and then they also lost Cade Mays. He can play tackle or guard or center if you need him to. He was a former 5-star, and he transferred to Tennessee. That's a big loss, and I think they'll take a significant step back as one of the top offensive line in the SEC. And then Alabama, they lose Jedrick Wills, and I think that will hurt them too. And then Florida, mostly their offensive line last year was a bunch of freshmen, and they're still young, so they're going to make some mistakes. So this year, I think it'll be Tennessee. I think Tennessee will have the best offensive line in the SEC. Yeah, you heard me right. Tennessee will have the best offensive line in the SEC. I know in the last couple of years, Tennessee had a horrible offensive line, but after last year when Jeremy Pruitt brought in 2 5-stars, and then you also have Trey Smith, the best offensive guard in the SEC, and then you also bring in Cade Mays from Georgia, who's plug and play right guard right away. So, and you also have Brandon Kennedy. So those are 4 former 5-stars and 1 4-star, which is Kennedy, and the 5-stars are Darnell Wright, Trey Smith, Cade Mays, and Wanya Morris. So that's just a terrific offensive line. You have 2 really nice bookends, some interior push and Smith and Cade Mays, and then he's a nice coach for the whole offensive line who brings the whole group together. And Brandon Kennedy, he got an extra year of eligibility, so I think he'll be a nice leader for this offensive line. And the sky's the limit for this group. Now moving on to the next segment, I'll switch it to the NFL, and I'm going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo for the 49ers. And my question for today is, does he deserve $27 million a year? And, well, I'm going to say he doesn't. I think he's an average quarterback who doesn't deserve to be paid top-of-the-line money. I mean, he was 12th in passing yards with 3,978. He did good with 27 touchdowns. That was pretty good, and only 13 picks. He had a QBR of 58, 12th, and not 58. He was 12th in QBR in the whole NFL. So that's average. But I mean, obviously everybody saw when in the Super Bowl they're up by 10 and he misses wide open Emmanuel Sanders. Well, he just misses a pass that's wide open for a touchdown. They would have gone up by 17 against the Kansas City Chiefs and went on to win the Super Bowl. And that just shows me that I don't think he's the best thrower down the field. I don't think he has the best arm talent. I think he's meant to be a short passer, but I don't think he has the best arm talent down the field, like pass when he throws it 20-plus yards down the field. So I do not think he deserves $27 million. I think he deserves less than that. Do I think he's a good quarterback? I think he's a game manager. I think he's an average quarterback. I don't think he deserves to be top 15 paid quarterback in the NFL. I mean, I do not think he's the future for the 49ers, and I think they need to look in a different direction, because if you put most of the quarterbacks in the NFL in his position, like for example Kirk Cousins or Matthew Stafford, they make that pass to Emmanuel Sanders, and we're talking about the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. So he costed them a Super Bowl, and he might have costed himself his future with the 49ers. So to conclude that topic, I just think he's an average quarterback, and he does not deserve $27 million. He deserves less than that. But I mean, it was shown that he got carried by that defense to the Super Bowl. And when he had a chance to make a play, he didn't make the play. So now he does not have the brightest future going ahead with the 49ers. I think maybe they should have got Tom Brady. I mean, maybe traded Garoppolo, but they still have some options. Hopefully Garoppolo develops better and he can become that quarterback that they thought he would be. Like a viewer once told me that one of the reasons why he started off 5-0 in his first season with the Niners was because no one had film on him. But then once everybody started getting film on him, he wasn't so great anymore. So Garoppolo, he's a game manager, and he's not a top 5 quarterback. So now we're going to keep talking about the NFL, but we're going to go to a different division. We're going to talk about, same division as Garoppolo, the NFC West. I think it's the best division in football. Starting off with the 49ers, who went to the Super Bowl. They have a loaded roster. Drafted a first-round wide receiver. Also, Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. Also, they had 2 first-round picks. They used the second one on a wide receiver from Arizona State. In the first one, pick 13, Javon Kinlaw. And the second one, they traded up from the Vikings to get pick 25 to get their Brandon Ayuk, who they think is going to be very good in their offense. So I think, and that'll add more help for Jimmy G, who really needs the help. So they still have a very stacked defense after trading away DeForest Buckner. I know Richard Sherman he's 32 and he's getting old, but I still think that the 49ers, they're still the best team in their division, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made it back to the NFC Championship game and possibly the Super Bowl. So 49ers fans, I think you've a lot to look forward to, and you still have a very bright future with that young defense, including Javon Kinlaw, Nick Bosa, and Eric Armstead. So they have a very bright future, and I hope the best for the 49ers. And then next, I'm going to go to the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, they have Russell Wilson's a top 5 quarterback on the NFL. And they also have Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. But I still think that Russell Wilson does not have enough weapons. I mean, he had the same weapons as last year, and they could only make it to the NFC Divisional. I still think he needs more help. And their defensive group is getting a little old. They lost Frank Clark to the Chiefs a year back, and they're not getting any younger. KJ Wright is getting old. They lost Clowney to free agency, and obviously the Legion of Boom is gone. No more Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. They still have Bobby Wagner as one of the best middle linebackers, but I think the Seahawks need to make a few more moves to put them in place to get in contention for the NFC. So I still think they have a little bit to go. Next, I'm going to go to the Los Angeles Rams. They made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but then everything fell apart. They lost Todd Gurley, traded away Brandon Cooks, but they still have Jared Goff. They gave him a huge salary, and then he didn't do as good as people thought he would. And they restructured his contract to get some more cap. Obviously, they got Cam Akers in the second round. He was very good. He was a very talented running back from Florida State. And they also have Cooper Kupp, who was a very nice wide receiver for them last year, and Robert Woods, who's a nice wide receiver too. He has nice hands, and he's a nice route runner. And then they also have Josh Reynolds, who many people thought was going to take Brandon Cook's place. Well, it wasn't that big of a loss because they lost Brandon Cooks, because many people think Josh Reynolds is a rising receiver that is going to surprise people this year, is maybe a rising star in this league. And I thought losing Brandon Cooks wasn't that big of a loss because they still have a nice wide receiver core, and I think the Rams, they might surprise people this year because they still have a really nice defense with Aaron Donald and a lot of other playmakers on that side of the ball. So I think the Rams, watch out. They might surprise some people this year and make the playoffs because they still have a very loaded roster, and watch out for them. And now to wrap it up for the NFC West, I'm going to talk about the Cardinals. They have Kyler Murray, who got Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. So I think they have a really bright future in Kyler Murray, and the sky's the limit for him. He's a nice dual-threat quarterback who can throw it 60 yards, and he's a very fast quarterback also. They traded David Johnson, but they have Kenyon Drake, who's an up-and-coming running back who they placed the franchise tag on him. So I think that the running back position will be good for them. And then at wide receiver, you still have the long veteran wide receiver in Larry Fitzgerald, who has stayed strong all his career, and I think he'll have a pretty nice year this year. But the biggest offseason move they made was DeAndre Hopkins to trade. The Texans traded Hopkins to the Cardinals, and that was a huge pickup. They gave away David Johnson, who did ever since that one year when he led the league in rushing, hasn't had the rushing capabilities and the hopes that the Cardinals had for him. He's had some injuries, but then they decided his time was up there, so they traded him Texans. for a third-round pick and David Johnson to get Hopkins. That's a steal. The Texans made a stupid decision to that, and now Kyler Murray gets another weapon. And then also in the draft, they got Isaiah Simmons, who's I thought was one of the best players in the draft, a very versatile linebacker. He can play safety, he can play corner also, and he can rush the passer. So that was a steal. I think he's best at linebacker, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him as any of those positions that I named off, because he's such a great player on the defensive side of the ball. And I think the Cardinals, they might make a wild card appearance this year. And I mean, as I said about all these teams, they all have a chance to make the playoffs because the NFC West is the NFC West is so loaded. I mean, any team can make the playoffs because they have so much talent on their rosters. So I think the Cardinals also have a very good chance to make the playoffs with the addition of Hopkins and Simmons. So I'd just like to say watch out for all these teams because they're going to be very dangerous next year, especially at the end of the year. So the NFC West is the best division in the NFL. Then now let's go to the phones. Hello, you're on Down to the Wire.
Hey man, this is Sean. And I'm from Memphis, man.
Hey.
How do you think them Cardinals are going to do with Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins?
Thank you for your call. Well, I think they'll have a really nice wide receiver duo with Fitzgerald and Hopkins. Obviously, Fitzgerald is a veteran, but Hopkins is one of the top wide receivers in the league right now. So Kyler Murray has a lot of players to throw it to, and the Cardinals have a bright future ahead of them with the two wide receivers, two Pro Bowl capable wide receivers. So thank you for your call. Let's go back to the phones. Hello, you're on Down to the Wire.
Hey, this is Lloyd Christmas.
Hey, Lloyd.
Do you think Tennessee's going to get any 5-stars? More 5-stars?
Yes, thank you for your call. Well, I think Tennessee has a chance with Samuel Munden. He's committing in June. He's really high on Tennessee, and I think Tennessee has a chance on him. He's in Tennessee's top 5. And also a cornerback named Grimes, a 5-star. He's very good. He's a very speedy corner with he can cover the ball very well. And Tennessee, he really likes Pruitt. So I think Tennessee is also in good hands with him. And also Amarius Mims, offensive tackle from Georgia. Many people think he's going to Georgia, but I think Tennessee still has a chance with him. But Tennessee also has a chance with a lot of 4-stars, some 4-star wide receivers. But I think Tennessee will get 1 or 2 more 5-stars in this class. So thank you for your call. Let's go to the phones. Hello, you're on Down to the Wire.
Hello, this is Joshua. And I want to know, how many more Super Bowl leads do you think Kyle Shanahan can choke?
Can you please repeat that question?
How many more Super Bowl leads do you think Kyle Shanahan can choke?
Well, I think Kyle Shanahan, I mean, he's made it to the Super Bowl twice, once with the Falcons and the 49ers. I mean, I don't know how many he will choke again. Like, they were up by 10, and he started running the ball. He called the dogs off, and then the Chiefs came back with Mahomes and won the game. So, and then with the Falcons, they were whipping the Patriots 28-3, and we all know how that ended up when Tom Brady came back and won the game in overtime. So, Shanahan, he needs to learn not to call the dogs off in the fourth quarter when you have a double-digit lead, and keep the dogs on and keep pushing for the victory. So, thank you for your call. Let's go back to the phones. Hello, you're on Down to the Wire.
Hey, Daniel, Small Mike calling in. First time I called into your show. You're the only show in town that's you on the air here. I've been a Knoxville regular for years, but I've been banned from most shows. You've got a good show going now. I'd like to talk to you on that.
Thank you.
But, hey, a couple questions there, Daniel. Why are you carrying so much water for you see like Jimmy Hines and Brent Hull?
Well, I think Tennessee they've Pruitt's better than not a lot of nice players, and I think starting with the offensive line, we have a very good offensive line, and I think they have a really bright future, and a nice defense too. But it all depends on the quarterback play this year, and if Garantano can win some games this year and not make so many stupid decisions.
Yeah, well, it looks like your coach is there, Daniel.
Yep. Well.
Let me talk here, Daniel. Have Garantano figured in probably at number 1. But let's look at the fact. Let's back up a little bit, Daniel. Let's look at the facts here. Back ask on UT. Did UT beat a team last year that had a winning record? I mean, I know they finished with 6 or 7, but everybody's wanting to carry water for UT about how good they're going into next year. But they beat a team with a winning record last year.
They beat Kentucky, so that is the one.
Oh yeah, Kentucky. I'm a big powerhouse SEC team. That's real good. That's real good. But you know, sounds a lot like former Rich Jones in their last couple of years. A lot of good recruits, overhyped, come in and play. You know, come in and never show up.
Well,
how about before we start carrying water for you teams, start beating teams like Florida, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, and the world. You know, then we can talk about how good they're going to be. You know, just like a lot of people around town like to talk about a lot of recruits coming in. You know, but you want to see some player development over there. I'm not buying in or carrying any water for them. What do you got to say about that, Daniel?
well, I think this coaching staff is different. I think they're very good developers. I think this year you'll start to see some of those Tennessee starting to beat some of those big teams. Maybe we take out Florida, Georgia, and maybe possibly Alabama. Last year we were right there with them till the end, and Garantano went rogue. So I think Tennessee.
How are we going to do that if Garantano's still our quarterback?
Well,
Tell me that, Daniel.
maybe he's not.
You can do that with Garantano, who's proven he's not a winner.
Well,
or you can do it with a true freshman quarterback. I just don't see it.
Well, I think Harrison Bailey, I think he's a chance to beat out Garantano. Now it's an even playing level because both teams didn't have a spring practice, and I think Harrison Bailey's a very talented quarterback, and he's a big arm, bigger than Garantano's, and I think he's a lot smarter of a quarterback than Garantano. And if Tennessee makes another bad decision about putting Garantano on the field, I don't know what to do from now on. So I don't know what Tennessee's future is.
Whoever the quarterback is, who's he going to throw to a receiver? You have no returning receivers at all. No experience at receiver.
Well, you have Josh Palmer, who had a very productive season last year, and a transfer from Georgia.
And he couldn't start on any of the teams I just mentioned.
I think he could. He could start on Florida or Georgia because they don't have that many wide receivers either. Tennessee also has
They got 4 or 5 star guys lined up coming in this year.
How many wide receivers did Florida and Georgia have drafted in the first round?
Hey, how many players did Tennessee have drafted overall this year?
2. 2.
Oh, yeah. And that's where we are. I want to see it on the field before you start hyping all these players coming in. And that's all I got to say.
Well, I think Tennessee. I think they're gonna make some big strides this year, and I think we'll start beating the teams we're supposed to beat, and the Florida and Georgias of the world. And I have to disagree with you. I think Tennessee's. This year they have. I know they have Josh Palmer, but they brought in D'Angelo Gibbs from Georgia, a very talented wide receiver. Rumors have it that he's tearing up in practice. He wasn't allowed to play last year, but he was tearing up our starting defense last year. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's our leading receiver. And we also have Ramel Keaton, a 4-star wide receiver from last year who played a big time role in the win against Indiana in the Gator Bowl.
What was that powerhouse they beat again in the Gator Bowl?
Indiana.
Oh, yeah. Where'd they finish in the Big Ten?
They went at the top. They went in the top 5.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I got my doubts on Tennessee this year. Who's their running back going to be?
I think it'll be either Eric Gray or Ty Chandler. Eric Gray really came on strong at the end of the year, and I think he's a very talented running back, and I think Tennessee has a bright future.
That was the end of the year against all those weak teams.
Well, actually against Florida, he had a pretty nice game, and he showed up in some games, but I agree with you, he needs to show up in all of the games, and especially against the big-time talent. But it's about the new Jimmies and the Joes, and we already have the X's and O's with the coaching staff with Jeremy Pruitt and all of his great staff, and I think Tennessee, I'd say watch out for Tennessee this year because they're coming, and with the talent we have bringing in, I think there should be a lot of optimism for this Tennessee team. So thank you very much for your call.
Yeah, I think you'd agree with me, Daniel. If we got the same quarterback as last year, we'd get the same result. I'll hang up and let you think.
Unless Garantano completely turns around just like Joe Burrow did, I think if Garantano's the quarterback, it'll be another long season. So thank you for your call. Let's go back to the callers. Hello, you're on Down to the Wire.
Hi, my name is Suzanne from Bucksnort, Tennessee. I was asking if the Seahawks will be good this year.
Okay, thank you for your call, Suzanne. Well, I think the Seahawks, I think they'll make the playoffs again this year, led by Russell Wilson, but I do not think they have enough talent around them, and I think they have a little bit to go to get back up where they were at the Super Bowl, because they had a lot more talent back then. But, I mean, they still have Bobby Wagner on the defensive side of the ball, but they do have some veteran players, and they lost Clowney, so that'll be an effect to their defense. But I think the Seahawks will make the playoffs again, but I don't think they'll make it to the Super Bowl. Thank you for your call, Suzanne. Let's go back to the phones. Hello, you're on Down to the Wire.
Yes, Daniel, Fred Poser, Brentwood.
Hello, Fred.
What is the, yeah, very well. What is the topic tonight, Daniel? I've been enjoying, and after Junior Cognac, Louis the 13th, if you have to know, I highly recommend it, and missed the beginning of the show. What's the topic tonight?
Well, it's talking about Tennessee football and the NFC West, or if you want to talk about anything else, I'm willing to answer your question.
Hello?
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 Did you hear that? Looks like we lost Fred, but let's go to our next caller. Hello, you're on Down to the Wire.
Hey, Jimmy. This is Bo from Doe.
Hey, Bo.
I don't like what Jeremy Pruitt's doing. I mean, can't get a recruit. We're just getting worse and worse, losing to Georgia State. You've been hyping them up, but we can't beat Georgia State. How are we going to beat Georgia? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen.
Well, if you saw the last 8 games, Tennessee went 7-1 and finished out 6-0. So that was just a mental mishap because Tennessee wasn't prepared. The coaching staff even admitted it. They overlooked Georgia State, and I think Tennessee, with all the additions they made, including Cade Mays, who came from Georgia, D'Angelo Gibbs, who came from Georgia, who will be a starting wide receiver, and hopefully Garantano improves. He claims he has, and he said he has unfinished business. So I hope that's true, and I hope I hope Harrison Bailey will give him a run for his money since he's such a talented recruit coming out of Georgia, and I hope Bailey will have a nice year too. But I guess only one quarterback can win the job, and may the best man win. And for your question about recruiting, I completely disagree with you because you say Tennessee can't get a recruit. We just got 2 5-stars and multiple 4-stars, and Tennessee's the number 2 class in the nation, number 1 in the SEC, ahead of Georgia and Alabama and Florida, just to make sure you know that. And I think Jeremy Pruitt is doing a really nice job after Butch Jones left this program with a 4-8 record, and Pruitt has brought Tennessee back. And yeah, I don't think you heard that, but Tennessee is back. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Down to the Wire. Also, thank you to my producer Mary and my props director Amy Smith. So thank you very much.